Let's start by adding the code snippet that we provided for you and add that into the Miwok app. So I'm going to copy that here and then switch over to Android Studio and paste that at the bottom of my numbers activity. All right, so now I want to call this method that we just added, release media player, when the audio file has finished playing. And this means that I need to register an on-completion listener with the media player. So remember that this needs to be set up after the media player has started. So I'm going to add the code below this line, mmediaplayer.start. And I let Android Studio autocomplete adding the interface callback for me here. Now within the onCompletion method callback, I can call the release media player method. So I just realized there's going to be a more efficient way of doing this. So instead of creating a new onCompletion listener every time we click on a list item, we can just create a single instance of this onCompletion listener and then reuse it each time. So doing it that way would be more efficient because we wouldn't be creating a new object each time that would take up new resources. So I'm going to move this block of code here that implements the onCompletion listener interface and put it into a global variable. So here's what that looks like. So I moved the code that was implementing the onCompletion listener interface and moved it into a global variable that I called mCompletionListener. Now back here again, every time I create a new media player object and start the player, I can set the onCompletionListener to be that global variable. So I'll pass in mCompletionListener. And to further clarify that, I'm going to add some comments. All right, so that completes the first task. So we've hooked up the numbers activity so that when it has finished playing a sound file, it will release the media player resources. Now this second task here says to also release the media player resources before the media player is initialized to play a different sound. So this might happen if, for example, the user quickly tapped multiple list items in a row. The device might not have enough time to finish playing each audio file, so the onCompletion listener might not get triggered. So if we're in the middle of playing a sound and the user clicks on a completely different sound, then we need to stop and release the media player resources and immediately create a new media player object for the current sound. So back in the numbers activity, in the onItem method, here before the media player is created, we should release the media player resources as well. We do that just in case it was configured to play a different audio file. All right, so those were all the changes we needed to do for the numbers activity. And now I'm going to repeat the same thing for all the other activities. All right, so those were all the changes we need to make to all the activities. And now I'm going to test the app to make sure nothing broke. So here's the app running on my device. And visually, it looks like nothing's changed, so that's good. Now let's check to see if the audio is still working. So I'm going to tap into the phrases activity. So here, whether I click to play a sound for a word and just let it finish, or I click a bunch of list items in rapid succession, the media player resources should be cleaned up. So I'm going to first try it with a single word and letting it finish. All right, so now I'm going to test it with several list items in rapid succession, and it should cut it off. All right, so that looks good.